And in fact, I was thinking, because you raised the point of seeing these songs as also a kind of as sites for social struggles and social groups to have like assert their own understandings of the world. We see this all the time even in India today. For instance, with Padmavati, we see that the question of whether she is real or not. I mean, newsrooms have. Everyone has split their hairs to try and understand and address this question. Well, the consensus is that she isn't real, but do you not think that we were all sort of missing a point there, that it's not a question of whether she is a historical figure or not? She is very much a lived, though imaginary, but a lived figure in people's lives and imaginations in their everyday lives. And do you not think that the right, in a way, uses the right-wing factions in our country uses these to their benefit with some precision?
Fiction comes in here, right? How much of fiction and reinterpretation of historical figures? And I think we might want to think about the fact that fictive imaginaries are often resolutions or playing out of real social contradictions, or, utopian desires even. So that, I think the question of the real then, when you look back historically, subdivides into two parts. One would obviously be looking for empirical evidence, corroborating, evidence from historical documents. On the other side, there would be, I think, what one might think of as how the figure of Padmavati or Mirabai, for that instance, is reconstructed in different social imaginaries, so that you don't get stuck with thinking about a single interpretation or a single figure. And this, multiplicity can be a source of strength, because it allows one to move away from monolithic interpretations and to look at the sheer heterogeneity of caste, class, and tribal positions in this country historically and today. At the same time, I think the fact that it's an imaginary, then must be positioned against what really exists on the ground. Why this imaginary and not another one? What was the attraction of these women figures? So that you can get, a woman figure played into a kind of Islamophobic imaginary, which is what happens with her. And then I think you begin to want to think about, fiction in a different way, because there the ideology that, surrounds the construction of Padmavati, or for that matter even Mirabai, becomes so dominant and so invested in a sectarian, social outcome, that it is being manipulated. So I think we need to make a difference between manipulation and social reimaginations of historical figures. Now, the social reimaginations of historical figures may well be ideologically inflected, depending upon, different kinds of locations, but they are not necessarily manipulative in the direct way that we are finding now. I think there is obviously always mediation. You never get a direct, you're never going to arrive at some absolutely pure historical truth, because historical truth, like other truths, is mediated by different forces at different times. But now I think we see actually something which goes well beyond mediation and reimagining. It is just straightforward manipulation. And that manipulation then, itself draws on very selective areas and claims them as being, true history. So I think one can't give up the separation of truth from lies. And one needs to think of an imaginary as not just lies, but as something which has come out of a material situation and has material effects, and analyze it. I think our job perhaps is not to, is to actually analyze each imaginary in its context and see what it might mean. And we know what the present one means with Padmavati, right?